You know, we've talked about some of the cost challenges. We've talked about some technology. The second main challenge, of course, for the offshore sector is the risk differential. You know, if you look at U.S. shale and oil and gas, obviously has a much shorter time to market, lower risks than a Bering Sea or deep sea project. You know, how can offshore compete? Harold Magnus.
Well, that's a big challenge because the timeline is so much longer. So I think it's not possible to raise that difference. But of course, what the industry is now doing is what Eric said. They're trying everything because the cost level has to come down. And when we look back, I said energy is becoming technology, and of course that's it's not becoming. It has been. When I took it at the headline, that was of course towards renewables, but still within the oil and gas industry, you have seen a continuous enhancement of technology, and the pressure for doing that now is much larger than before, and it's happening. So I think there will be the best companies will able to come up with good new solutions, and they are based. We could afford not to do all the things we should have done to reduce cost when the price was high, but at the end that wasn't not enough. But now the time has changed, and the companies and the service providers are changing their mood.
Eric, then Nina. Yeah.
It's also a bit. It's like renewable energy currently, and putting things into perspective. I mean, we've seen the shale gas, shale oil revolution, and it only happens in the United States, and it only happens in a few places in the United States still. And the shale oil revolution in the United States is equal to about 1 year of decline in the global oil industry. That's the size. So when I'm in the United States and I'm politically very incorrect, I say that the shale oil revolution is a revolution in North Dakota. It's significant in the United States and it has impact on global oil markets, but we have to put it into perspective. So we need technological development on offshore, on different types of plays, different types of new resources for decades to come. And it's the same with renewable energy. There's a revolution going on there, and it will have profound impact. Hopefully we'll have a lot of renewable energy going forward, but we still have to make sure, I mean, it's less than 1% of the overall energy demand. And you cannot produce steel from electricity. You need iron and coal.
Nina, big smiles come on your face. I think you have a different viewpoint on this. I just feel this coming. Please, go ahead.
No, actually at this point, I wanted to say that on this issue, I think that environmentalists and the environment could actually become one of the best friends of the offshore industry because, of course, shale gas and worse types of productions, like such as tar sands, for example, have huge environmental footprints, and it's extremely damaging, very demanding in terms of water use, for example. So actually using these issues to your advantage, because offshore oil and gas is, of course, a better alternative than these, might provide an interesting option.
And we can get you to say that on record now. That I mean, this is to have the environment community, and this is the work we're doing with the World Ocean Council, kind of build those bridges between the environment community and the oil and gas industry. And I think if we can use that sort of logic to say there are good alternatives, there are ways in which the oil and gas industry can work offshore to provide resources and the fuels that we need, as opposed to more damaging alternatives, and develop the technology to do it right, that's the next several decades.
Just with the carbon tax, I think the competitiveness of a lot of the offshore would be much better versus shale than it is today. So I think really what we should call for is a global carbon tax for all energy producers.
Well, it's interesting you should mention that, of course, because the majors now have come out and suggested that. Yeah, Carl, Eric, and then Eric, yes.
I would like to follow up on that, because the EU's goal is to reduce the emissions by 40%. Coal consumption must be reduced and has to be replaced by gas and renewable sources. And I would like to repeat, for each unit of coal which can be substituted by Norwegian natural gas, the climate gas emissions will be reduced to the half. EU's own energy output will be halved up to 2030, and all political signals indicate that EU would like to buy all the gas that may be possible from Norway. And Germany has also to replace coal with gas if they should meet EU's climate goals. And then we have this essential point, that coal is currently cheaper than gas. in part because of the shale.
So your point is, I'm sorry, please.
My point is that a reform of the EU's emission trade system or a global carbon price will be essential to increase price on coal relative to gas, and that's essential for the climate.
Yeah, that's essential because we're getting some agreement here, I think, Nina.
Well, maybe not so much, but
Maybe not so much. Okay. Hey, that's why it's interesting. All right. Yeah.
Now, I know that this is a favorite argument of the Norwegian oil and gas industry, but of course there is no guarantee that gas will actually be replacing coal. Currently, in a lot of instances, it's actually replacing renewable energy, and as such, it's not contributing to meeting climate targets. It's actually doing the opposite. There's also the challenge, of course, of getting access to the markets, because it is not a given that the EU will provide the market for gas. I mean, the EU Climate and Energy Commissioner is visiting Norway as we speak, and has stated that there are no guarantees for this, and the ultimate way for them is, of course, renewables.
Carl, very quickly.
But I really hope that we agree about that we need a global carbon price and a higher carbon price, and by that, price on coal will be increased against gas, and that's essential to meet the climate challenges.
Yes.
But it's still important. I agree with you totally on the carbon price. But still, if you listen to the Germans, what they're saying now, they're saying, thank you for the gas, but we don't need it. That's what they're saying. And I'm not sure that they're able to go as fast as they want to. But they want to get rid of the fossil, they want to get rid of nuclear, they want to go renewable. And they have so many ideas on how to do it. And I think that they think themselves that the market will now be able to do it. They will still need Norwegian gas for years, decades to come. But their focus has changed.
Yes, very quickly. Yeah.
But if you look at the EU's own numbers, I mean, if they reach their targets by 2030, 2035, their own production of gas is going so much down that their need for imports is as large as it is today. And then you can ask them, when they basically have three sources of gas, it's North Africa, it's Russia, and it's Norway. And,
If we're just about out of time here, very quickly, and these are like 10-second answers from each of you. When we're meeting here 2 years from now, will the offshore sector be in better shape or possibly not? Yes or no? If not, why?
It will either be euphoric or depressed.
So still bipolar. All right. Yeah. Paul.
It will be looking to the Arctic. It will be looking to deep offshore. And if those things are coming together, it will be in better shape.
Yaron.
Revenues will be lower, but the growth prospects will be excellent.
Yeah.
Downturns usually last 2-3 years, so I think we have the trough behind us in 2 years' time.
Okay, so more optimistic. Yeah.
It will be better, and people will understand that gas is the solution to replace coal.
Yes, yeah.
The future is renewable, and renewable energy will increasingly outcompete fossil fuels, and that's also what the divestment movement is showing. So good luck.
The gloves are still on, my friends. Let's have a big round of applause for all of our panelists, please.